Jim Norton is not a doctor. He's not an expert. He's not even a good person. The views, opinions, advice, and humor of Jim Norton does not reflect those of any doctor, of SiriusXM, of Opie Radio, or anyone else. They are solely those of Jim Norton, Lyle Chipperson, Edgar Mellencamp, Paul Hargis, and whoever else lives in that chinless head of his. If any of this advice goes wrong, you are the asshole who called a comedian instead of a doctor.
An icon in comedy, a fighter for freedoms, an accomplished entertainer, and a pervert. You've got problems, he's got problems. You've got questions, he's got answers, some of which are good. Call now, 866-WOW-1-WOW. That's 866-969-1969. This is the Jim Norton Show.
Hello. Nice to be live again. I was not live last week because of I was working. I was doing something. I think I was shooting last Wednesday. I don't even remember. But whatever it is, I was not available. And yeah, I'm pretty sure I was. What did I do last Wednesday? I was at rehearsals and shooting stuff for my pilot. Crazy couple of weeks. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the Chip Chipperson animation because I got a weird email about that. So I meant to address that. But it's really been like a great, I guess the last 10 days to 2 weeks have been amazing. Just very, very busy. I wound up shooting an episode of this show on the Pop Network. And I did a scene with Gwyneth Paltrow, and then I had to go back in Monday and finish the episode. I just did stuff with her on Friday. Thursday, I did stuff for Andy Cohen's pilot. And Wednesday, I had to rehearse for his pilot and shoot stuff for my own. And Tuesday was stuff for my own pilot. It's been like a crazy 2 weeks, but really good stuff. And I thought of this yesterday when I was shooting at the Cellar for this Robert De Niro movie. Again, 2 small scenes with him. It was nothing that's going to make or break my career. It's just really fun to do. And I just kept thinking that 99% of life is showing up. And I was told that many years ago. And how it's very hard for me sometimes just to show up and be present and do something. Because I really do live in the future or in the past. So I kind of like, as much as I'm down on myself, a lot of times when I'm doing something right, I feel good about it. That occurred to me yesterday. Like, hey, stupid, you showed up. You're here for this. And you had to sit around and wait for a while, for a couple hours. And then when I knew it was going to run late, instead of avoiding it and doing something stupid like getting a massage or, whatever, I'm like, just come back and do this show and be present and enjoy this moment and enjoy this day because you're not going to have another one like it, like under these circumstances. So sometimes I really do the right thing and feel good about myself for it. But very quickly, I wanted to just cover the chip. I've covered this before, but somebody, I had a weird email, somebody asking me about, what was happening with the finances and did I take less money than the final goal? Cause the original goal was set by the people, you have Indiegogo, and I'm going to be very brief. And then there's an outside company who sets up the page and gets all the perks lined up and does all of the physical stuff. So Indiegogo takes a percentage off the top and credit card percentage. Now I never see that money. So when the guys who run the page said that they wanted me to ask for $200,000, I said way too much. I don't need that much. I can upgrade the animation and do extra stuff with that, but that's not what I require. And they're like, no, trust me. After all the perks, a lot of times this stuff, it adds up. So if I had extra money, it wasn't going to go in my pocket. It was just going to go back into the animation, either doing another episode and instead of, $2,500 an episode, spending, $5,000, a minute. So as the campaign went on and people had mixed feelings about it, some loved it, some didn't like it, some hated it. And I got so many good suggestions as to things that we did do wrong, which I listened to. I wasn't discouraged to not hit that goal at all. I was fine. It was supposed to be a 2-month campaign. And when I got to like 60,000 at the end of the month, I was like, you know what? The fans have spoken. Some that you loved, some that you didn't like, but I appreciated you guys putting your money in very, very much. So I got contacted by the page because they were on me to tweet about it more. And I would tweet about it, but I'm like, I don't want to tweet every 10 minutes. It's almost like if the fans are telling me something, I don't want to just keep beating you guys over the head going, hey, listen to this, listen to this. So the guy from the page who makes who made my page said, look, we're not going to be able to do the second month. We're going to have to drop out because we don't feel like Jim's doing his part to promote it. And I'm like, well, I don't know what you guys care for. I'm going to pay off all the perks out of the money I've made. I'm going to pay you guys. And then it turns out those guys don't get paid unless they hit the goal. So I didn't mean to not get the people who made the page paid. I didn't realize that. But that explains why they were pushing me and why they wanted me to ask for a higher rate. So anyway, long story short, thank you guys so much for contributing. We're finding a place we're making sure the money gets into the account. I had to create a separate bank account to get the money into. This way it's a clean accounting, a 100% accounting from this with no my other money mixed up. And we have to get a fulfillment center since the guys who ran the page aren't doing a second month. And even if they were only going to do a first month, they would have found me the fulfillment center. Now I have to do that on my own. So again, I apologize for babbling, but there is no shenanigans going on. I'm extraordinarily grateful to you guys who chipped in. What's that? And we're going to try a couple of ideas. I'm going to talk to guys like Coke Logic and guys like Stupid Sam. But it's been so busy with this other stuff in the last 2 weeks that I've been a bit distracted. But I'm not going to forget it. I'm extraordinarily grateful for all of you. Johnny in Canada, how do I see trannies without cheating on my girlfriend? That's kind of a hard thing to do. Johnny, hello.
Jimmy, how you doing?
I'm good, my friend. How are you?
I'm a big fan. Congratulations on all your success.
I appreciate it, man. It's been a good couple weeks. Thank you.
I'm in my 40s, and I've never been faithful to any woman I've been with, wife or long-term girlfriend, because I'm literally always looking online for cross-dressers and trannies to fool around with, okay? I've never paid for it, but I think I probably would with the right one.
Okay.
I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not attracted to guys, but the whole chick with a dick thing is what does it for me.
Okay.
Now, I want to stay faithful. And how do I go about staying faithful to her? Because she is the one. Do I have to go to counseling? What do you think route I should take to just stop looking around for these women?
It's funny. Whenever there's whether it's a fetish, to see somebody else if you're in a relationship is cheating. I mean, like, just because you like trannies. Let's just say you didn't like trannies. Let's just say you liked blonde women or women with a perm or women with big clits or dark areola. It's still someone other than your girl, so it is cheating. So either get her into it and talk to her about it, maybe watch some porn with her. But if that doesn't work and if that's not practical, the only counseling I would say is if you're behaving in a sexually addictive way, then maybe you might want to get counseling, because there's no way to go out and see them on the side without it being cheating. It is what it is. So you can either jack off to porn, you can get her to suck your dick and fantasize about them. You can share the fantasy with her and talk about it, then maybe someday have a threesome. Or if none of those things make sense, then you can go for counseling for the addiction, or just stop looking at it. Because there's no way to satisfy that type of an urge without it cheating, because, you know what I mean? It's another person.
It has become almost like an addiction that I'm looking out at this, looking for this every day. I drive a rig, and I'm looking all the way up the highway for online and everything to eat up, and I'm always taking precautions safe-wise, to not pass anything, but it has become almost an addiction. And if you think counseling is the best way to go for it to get over that addiction, then I'll definitely check that out, and I'll let you know how that went, friend.
Yeah, please let me. I could use some myself. I do good, and then I do poorly, and then I do good, and then I do poorly. We had Louis Anderson this morning talking about food, and it's just, I understand how the mania, when you're on the fucking road, dude, it's so difficult. It's like, for some reason in New York, it's a little easier, but on the road, it's harder not to obsess because you're out of your element. You don't have the same things to do that you do at home, that you don't have the same healthy avenues. So as hard as it is at home, it's even harder on the road. But if you don't want to cheat on your girl, man, like, I'm single, it's hard enough for me, and I'm single. So if you don't want to cheat on somebody, I would always recommend not cheating, because I've done that a lot, dude, and I've gotten caught, and it's devastating to the other person, and I really do regret it. I was a selfish fuck, and Look, part of it, I'm an addict, but I made the choice to cheat. I could have spared them and just broke up with them. I could have just spared them. But yeah, any type of fetish, well, that's the curse of our online stuff, is you can just look at it all day long, dude. You can just look at it and, big feet, little feet, girls with dicks, with big dicks, small dicks, with big tits, whatever it is, black girls, Spanish girls. It can go in every direction. You can just keep grabbing candy off that fucking shelf because it's never ending. Anyone that doesn't understand how you watch so much porn, if you're like a fat guy, picture every time you push your fucking dumb computer button, every time you push the escape key, Hershey's Kisses and different candies flew out. I mean, you'd never be able to stop doing that. So that's what it's like for us. All right. Yeah. Thank you. Did it help you at all?
Thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate it. Best of luck.
Good luck, you silly geese.
Bye, buddy.
All right. Larry in Westchester, you worship your friend's feet. In a religious sense, are these godly feet? Hello.
I mean, they're pretty epic.
Okay, good.
They're delicious. I mean, the problem is, I've been doing this for like more than 10 years. I've known this girl, she's one of my best friends, and she's like constantly like texting me and asking me when I'm available. It's like, because she loves it. She's a huge fan. So am I. But I'm getting married, I'm having a baby soon, and I mean, I've never been caught before, but I don't know, it's like, as much as I love doing it, and as much as as a stress relief thing as it is for me, because we don't have sex, it is a sexual thing for me, but it's really not for her, So, I mean, first of all, am I cheating? And also, should I stop?
Well, yeah, that sound I hear. Yeah, it is cheating. But it's not, look, it's not as bad as, you're not fucking somebody in the ass. You're not putting yourself at any big risk. You there?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe it is cheating to some degree. But, if you have a dilemma with it, dude, whenever I hear people with a dilemma and going, like the last guy, I don't if it's something that's bothering you and you think like, hey, it's going to fuck the relationship up with a cool girl, you can always go out at the end of your relationship and find different feet. Like, if it's more sexual for you and not your friend, believe me, if something else comes along for her, she might tell you to stop doing it anyway. Do you know what I'm saying?
We've been doing it for like 10 years, like through a bunch of different relationships. I guess what I'm looking for is somebody who's as perverted as me to tell me, as long as I'm not fucking somebody else or shooting my load, I mean, it's okay to do. It's just have to keep it a secret.
Well, what is it about this girl's feet that's so special?
Well, they're perfect, first of all. They're like size 6, 6.5. The toes are just perfectly shaped. She's got a beautiful arch. She's blonde and gorgeous. She smells great. They're delicious.
What about your girl's feet now? The girl who you're dating, does she have nice feet or not like that?
No, not a fan. Definitely not. They're just way too fleshy. And they're just like pocketed, and they're just like, they don't taste that good. And I don't really like her either. So it's just,
You don't like her either?
Well, I'm not a huge fan of her, but I mean, I do love her.
Oh, okay. Well, then why are you with her, dude?
Because she's having my baby, and it's been a long time, and it's just time to settle down.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong. I never understood that time to settle down thing. If you're already feeling like I want to cheat, I want to keep sucking this other girl's feet because I don't like this girl's feet. If that's a really important thing to you, and you don't like her that much on top of it, aren't you just kind of getting into a really shitty situation? Like, that's going to end badly? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if it's not like you're saying, look, I don't like her feet, but she's amazing. Then I would go, all right, well, if she's amazing, then you just give up on the feet thing, if you can. But if she's not amazing and you don't like her feet, what are you doing?
Well, she'll peg me. She'll let me eat my cum out of her pussy. She'll let me fuck her face whenever I want to and make her vomit. I mean, there's a lot of good things about.
Sir, stop getting all poetic on us. I'm getting weepy-eyed here. You romantic, but I know what you're saying. Yeah, she's a good egg. If she'll peg you and let you fuck her in the throat, I mean, I understand what you're saying. There's a lot of good things too. All right. Well, look, all I could say is, what's that, buddy?
I said she's 70% perfect. It's just that 30% of her happens to include her, nasty feet. And this other girl who I also love as a friend just let me smell them, worship them, and rub them all over my body. And she even let me come on them once, like a long time ago.
Well, let me ask you, would this girl freak out if she knew you were worshiping other feet?
Of course. This is my pussy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm figuring she would, but who knows? I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man. Personally, I wouldn't marry a girl who I wasn't 100% sure of, I don't think. So,
Have you ever been 100% sure of a girl, though?
Probably not, dude. That's a good point. All right, here's what I'll say. Good luck. And at least if you're cheating and you're only worshiping feet, there's a lot worse things you could be doing than worshiping feet.
All right, Jimmy. Thanks for telling me I'm a good person. I love you.
All right, you're a good egg, sir. All right?
All right, bye, Jimmy.
All right, my friend. Kenneth in South Carolina. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, man?
How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. I know it doesn't matter coming from somebody like me, but I just wanted to say, you got such a fucking awesome stand-up career in the radio show and everything, and we're lucky that you took the time to put out things like the animation stuff, and even if it didn't work out, it's almost just like a bonus. You know what I mean? You already got such a solid stand-up career, and you're already set.
Oh, thanks.
And it's almost like just giving back to us, and we appreciate it, or at least I do 100%. And I wish it would have worked out because I liked what I saw.
Thank you very much. Well, there's going to be more, dude. The money I've gotten is going to go back into those animations, but I want to do something. I might try a couple of different things, and if it fails, and if it turns out that hey, Chip and Uncle Paul and all that stuff just weren't meant, and they just didn't work in that form, or Jim Norton just couldn't figure it out, I'm totally fine with that. It's not like something that's going to freak me out, but I do want to try other avenues, and I'm not so stubborn that I'm not going to listen, because there's people that are dicks when you do something like that, no matter what. But then there are people who are just telling you the way they really feel, and it's just not what I want to hear, but you have to listen to those people too. So I'm going to try a couple of different things, and that's a part of what this was about. So maybe I will try, do I want to try another script the way I have it, or having Chip narrate something, or how do I make it feel alive? I'm really going to try to get together with a couple of people and really talk about this and take the money I have. And if I have to put in more of my own money, I will, to make me feel like, okay, I've exhausted all avenues. But thank you, dude. That's nice of you to say. But no, I don't feel like it's a big deal if it doesn't work. I mean, I do have a very good career. I'm very fortunate compared to a lot of people I started doing comedy with. I'm extremely lucky. And the fans have embraced a lot of what I've done. And, they're not going to embrace every single thing I do. So if something doesn't work, I mean, that's just the way it is, and that's okay.
Yeah, I know how it is. Just as a normal person, if you even though something like that's so hard to actually make and to be successful, just like obviously, you got confidence, you got to just to be able to go out there on stage, do what you do. I just trying to I guess be my Kurt Sentiment. I mean, trying to get out there and give it your best shot kind of deal. But I just want to say, fucking, you rule. Fucking cartoon's awesome, man. Keep it up.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much. That's really nice.
All right, thanks, man.
All right. Andrew in Long Island, a question about political arguments. Hi, buddy.
Hey, Jimmy. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. So thanks for taking my call, first of all. And I listen to you every day. Big fan of the show. Big fan of you in particular.
Thank you.
And I listen every day, it seems, and obviously because this is the temperament that we're in right now, that there's a political argument or a discussion that comes on, and it's topical. It is what it is. And every time I hear you get into a heated discussion where somebody has an opposing view, you really handle it in a very cool manner, for lack of a better term. It's just you seem to get your point across without screaming and cursing and all that stuff. I was curious how you do that, because I mean, they always say don't talk about religion, don't talk about politics, stuff like that. But how do you approach a conversation like that without just screaming, cursing, calling some guy you stupid jerk off type of thing?
Well, I mean, I've made that mistake many times. Again, I'm 47, and over the years, having these arguments for years, or these discussions for years, I realize that when I get mad and heated and steamed, nothing changes anyway. Like, I'm not going to change anyone's view. The things that have changed my mind over the years, I've never had anybody yell a fresh opinion into my face. So I realized after a while, first of all, I don't like how it sounds when I'm doing that. Like, as I've heard back old replays, I'm like, I sound like a jerk off, and I'm not getting anything done. But I also find that what frustrates us the most as people, regardless of the politics or any of that religion, is feeling like we're not being heard. Like, usually that's what most of the argument's about. And when I hear somebody out and I feel like they've heard me out and just don't agree with me, I tend to not be angry. Mm-hmm. So when I get mad, a lot of times it's because I feel like I'm not being heard. If they only heard this one thing, that would change. And I realize the futility of looking for the magical one thing which makes everyone see it my way. That one magical statement doesn't exist, whether it's about race, whether it's about politics. And, Curtis and Kubi are good examples of Ron Kubi and Curtis Sliwa. Curtis is a much more conservative. Ron Kubi's a very left-wing, very liberal civil rights attorney. Used to work under William Kunstler. So they had this show together for many years. They're kind of going at each other all these years. And then I think when the show broke up the first time, they're now back together. I remember them talking on the air on one of their last episodes at that time. And Kubi said something, and I'm paraphrasing, about, I've come to realize that like Curtis or whatever loves the country as much as I do. He just sees it differently. Like his motives are the same as my motives. We both love America. It's not a matter of not loving the country or of not caring about people. It's just there's different ways of getting to it. So when I'm fighting with somebody, whether it's about, over stupid Trump issues or this or that, they believe what they're saying as much as I believe what I'm saying. Like that guy Ken, black guy, called in. And the only thing that annoys me about him, it's not that he's radical. I mean, I like Farrakhan. I really like Farrakhan. I don't care about radical guys. Don't bother me. It's the fact that he's like actually telling me that I'm a racist. And it's like, that's just not the truth.
Well, can I ask you, like, especially particularly when it comes to callers, because obviously, we don't know what you do when you're off the air or, off stage, but specifically with callers.
You do.
Specifically with callers, and I know I've been on the opposite end of this as a fan and as a caller, where we'll get into a discussion, either me and you and Opie or somebody else on the program, and we'll sound, the caller will sound like we're just trying to talk over you. But I'm asking you if you understand that, on our end, we have maybe 3 minutes or 5 if we're super lucky to be on the air and talk, whereas we look and say, hey, you have another 3.5 hours to essentially refute my point. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's not like we're trying to be dicks about it, but it's just, oh no, I only have this allotted amount of time to get my point across.
Yeah, and that's true, dude. And as a person who does radio for a living, I have trouble on the phone because there's that like half-second delay where and you're stepping on each other. That part of it is that too. Like if I'll pause for a second and then the guy will I think I'm done. But what happens is, like, you and I are having a conversation right now. Yeah. So whatever it is, I think the fact that they have to realize, like, I have 3.5 hours, or Opie has 3.5 hours, but also there's other people who are going to weigh in. So the conversation I'm having with them is not the be-all, end-all. So it's not like I'm going to discuss something with them and then for the rest of the 3 hours finish up my point. And it's like, I only get frustrated because I really do think that we give people a fairly open forum to say what they want. Like that guy can call back a couple of times. Yeah. As much as it was annoying, I never like to feel like somebody isn't being heard. I know it sounds stupid, but like I have enough faith in my own argument sometimes to let someone say what they want. But like you and I are having a conversation and we're both getting our points across. We just aren't disagreeing. So it doesn't seem like one of us is cutting the other one off.
Well, I can't say I agree with Uncle Paul about everything, but
understandable.
I certainly agree with Chippa all the time. So,
all right, buddy. I appreciate the call.
All right, thanks, Jimmy. Fucking hilarious.
Fuck yeah, I know that, shiznit. You heard what I said. Let's talk about James in Illinois. Hi, James.
Am I on?
You most certainly are, sweetie.
Holy shit. Jim, I'm a fanboy. Oh my God, yay me. Anyway, who gives a fuck?
Okay.
First, well, fuck it, I might as well go ahead with the whole spill. Your birthday is the same day as mine, although I'm 35 and you're an old man. But anyway, that's beside the point. I love you, Jim. Secondly, I have daddy issues. Let me kind of explain this as best as I can. He wasn't around until I was about 17. He came around. He was really shitty and an asshole. Told him to go fuck his mother, and that was it. When I had my first kid, he came back around, being the father's grandfather bullshit. And my baby's mama decided, fuck you for what I do for a living. I drive a truck, and she split. And after that, started acting like a cunt again. We didn't talk for years. Okay. And here we are back in the last 2 months, started talking again. I offered out an olive branch to him. Hey, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. Things are good. And I'm not dead. I haven't raped or killed anybody yet. So, needless to say, it was, let's put everything that's happened in the past, and let's move on with our lives. And now I talk to the motherfucker more now than I ever have. And it's kind of worrisome whether I should just tiptoe around this or just be like, all right, look, dude, fuck you. You haven't been in the life.
Dude, your phone, we have to cut this guy off just because your phone is crapping out. So I apologize for not hanging up on you, but your phone was kind of going there. It's one of those things like whether I have a decent relationship with my parents, so I'm very fortunate in that. But I don't think that people are obligated to family just because, you know, there's some kind of a cum or blood relationship. But it's like if it is family and they're flawed and you can accept the fact that they're flawed and not let it wreck your life and then maybe just minimize the interaction but still have them in your life, well, then it's worth doing. Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of times the worst is to regret it when somebody dies. That's what you don't want. Like if my parents died tomorrow, I'd be very sad that I wasn't around them more. But I wouldn't regret, oh no, me and my dad hated it. We don't. My dad and I love each other. My mom and I love each other. And I would realize like, yeah, I could have been a more present son. I could have done stuff better. But the regret wouldn't have been, oh my God, I didn't talk to them for a year. Like, you know, I don't have that type of thing either. So it also, you have to think sometimes, all right, well, they are human and they're getting older and they're going to die. So are you comfortable if your dad was to die tomorrow with the way your relationship is right now? If the answer is yes, then keep whatever distance you're comfortable with. And if it's not yes, if it's like, no, I'd regret it terribly, well, then maybe work on it a little bit and just realize like, all right, he might be a cunt. I mean, some people are just cunts. And if you love that person, even though they're cunts, that maybe it won't ruin your life that they're cunts. I love saying that word. Let's see. Goldie in Washington comments about race. Goldie, ooh.
Hey, what's up, Jim? How you doing today?
Hello, sir.
Excellent. Hey, basically, you know, I get what you're saying, but the issue that I have is that most of the times when these discussions occur, my point has always been that the narrative is never really accurate. It's always talking about the stereotypes or talking about this, that, about the different sides from the left and right. But, you know, an example would be if you're talking about stop and frisk and how certain communities need it, but you never talk about how there's communities in the suburbs where there's a high statistical crimes for child molestation or killing their wives and stuff. Why not have stop and frisk in the suburbs to prevent that? There's a stereotype that certain white people have that, you know, you can say this fits a profile, and any person that looks like this, we're going to stop them and pull them over.
Well, hold on. Let me just ask you, Goldie, and I'm not sure. I know what you mean about there's molesters and there's a lot of crime that happens in the suburbs, but nobody is for that crime. Like nobody is saying, hey, don't do this, you know, because you don't want to interfere with their right to walk around. But how do you stop somebody from being a molester by stopping them and frisking them?
Well, how do you stop someone that you're saying that could be possibly selling drugs or is going to commit a crime because he has his hat on backwards or he looks a certain way?
Well, I think it was, to be honest, to answer your question, I think it was a gun issue. And I understand the civil liberties questions and concerns, but like it doesn't necessarily affect my life. Like I'm not for that because I have this stereotype that black people are. I mean, I think that people who live in those neighborhoods, it sucks that they have to live in constant fear of being fucking shot by two guys in the street who are fighting each other.
No, and you know, my point is not specific to, you know, a conversation or talking to you. It's just a larger picture. And you know, one of the things that you said one time, a couple of months ago, there was a case that was in the papers where this guy killed a pregnant woman, and he so happened to be a black person. And you said something, I don't know exactly what you said, but and Anthony Kuhn, when he was on the radio, he would also point out different crimes that happen. And in the same paper, I see tons of crimes that are happening on the other side, on the other race. Those seem to not really. How many How many times you picked up the paper or looked online and you've seen a guy who's killed his wife, or a mother who's killed a kid, or a person that has a teacher that has had sex with their student? They're all from one race. Most of the times are in the paper, but those stereotypes, those images are not what is always in discussion. But if a black person most of the time makes a crime as heinous as that one does, somehow that's the one that's sexier to talk about, where there's other crimes just as horrible and horrific that somehow don't get the glitz or make the national headlines. And I guess that's the point I'm saying, is the narrative sometimes, because it doesn't, black is not right, white is not right, right is right, period.
Well, Gold, it's not a conscious thing. It's not like, and I think the reasons we talk about that stuff, or at least my own point of view, is because of the way the press reports stuff. And I guess that it's almost like, I feel like there's a pushback against the way the press is feeding it to me. If I felt that they gave us all the information kind of fairly, I wouldn't hate them or resent them or feel this need to kind of push back against the way they're reporting it in a biased way. In my hatred, I've even said this on the air before, I'll read about a lot of crimes, and my more annoyance is that the press and the way they report it as opposed to the crime itself. I've said that a lot. Like, the criminal's just shitty, and he is what he is. But like, talking about those people getting punched at the Trump rally, like the Daily News, the two exact stories, two guys, unprovoked, physically punched protesters as they were being led out. Old white guy punched a black guy, and I immediately said that guy should have been arrested. He was a piece of shit for punching that black dude. And the way they reported it is, black guy, he punched a black protester. It's like the first sentence. Right. Young black guy punches that white guy wrapped up in the American flag. That's the first thing I say, that guy should have been arrested. But there's no mention of the racial difference at all. And that to me is a subtlety in the press that has nothing to do with the two guys who did it. They both should have been arrested. You have the right to protest whether people like it or not. So I felt I was very fair about that. My annoyance was at the the press.
No, you're spot on with that. And then another thing, when you talk about you said you kind of like Trump on certain things and you don't like Hillary. One of the things that drives me nuts is when people are having this conversation is the fact that they ignore the last 8 years. The last 8 years, regardless of what rhetoric is coming on from each side, you've lived it. You know that that's been a stable 8 years. There's some people young enough who don't remember the recession prior to that. Look at any discretionary spending, the sales for iPhones during the last year. The stuff, the movies, billions of dollars sold. That's disposable money. That's a sign of a strong economy. Goldie, not to cut you off. I understand what you're saying. It's just, I don't want to debate politics with you, only because I know what you're saying. I've said many times that I like President Obama very much. I really like President Obama. I don't agree with everything, but I like the man. And I'm happy that he's my president. I have no dislike of Obama. About Hillary. If you don't like Hillary as a person, that's fine. She's not a likable person. But let's not just say we're not voting for the next radio star or a satellite host. It's Trump. We're talking about a difference of way of government, and her way is going to be consistent with the last 8 years. And the last 8 years, the reason that you're frustrated with politicians is because of the gridlock that's happening on both sides of the House and the Senate and all that bullshit. But if that wasn't there and it was compromise that was done on both sides, you would not have a problem with someone saying, let's continue this path that we're on for 8 years. And that's
maybe not. Maybe not. Goldie, I honestly don't know. I don't know who I'm going to vote for. As of right now, it's Trump. But I've even said if I like Hillary more, if they debated and Hillary was saying a lot more stuff, and I got to let you go, Duke. Only because I don't want to debate politics.
Chip Chipperson joke.
What's up, buddy?
Okay. This is, I just heard that Michael Vick signed a new contract. You know who he's endorsed by now?
Who?
Hush Puppies.
Because he was fucking drowning them stupid dogs. Fucking go. All right, Goldie. Thanks a lot.
All right, bud.
All right, Goldie. What are you, Goldilocks or something? Fuck, I should have killed him with that. He would have fucking fallen over. Yeah, I don't want to debate only because I like to talk politics and stuff. But this is, kind of a bit of a different show. And but again, a guy like that is making perfect sense. He's a smart guy. I just, sometimes you just see things differently. All right, whatever. Tony in New Jersey. Hi, Tone.
Hey.
Hey, buddy.
I hate to bring down the show, but I'm feeling depressed about my career choice in life. I didn't have the grades to get into med school in the U.S., and also I didn't have the right skin color, I guess. So I had to go to the Caribbean, So I racked up a shitload of student loan debts, like probably $250,000. And they kind of like fudged the numbers about how many people get into residency and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't declare bankruptcy with all this money. And, you know, if it wasn't for, like, my wife and, you know, my old elderly parents, I'd either be living under a bridge or jumping off of one. What do I do?
Well, you don't want to jump off the bridge. I mean, what can you get out of the career, or is it too late?
Well, I graduated. I have to do my boards, and I can barely pass them. Like I'm studying for them, and I'm not getting the passing scores. You know what I mean?
Well, why aren't you getting the passing scores? Are you just? Are you not smart enough? Do you not love it enough, or are you not working hard enough?
It's you know, I've been out of school for a while. Number one, number two. When I went to the Caribbean, it was pretty much rely on self-study. You know, it wasn't like top quality doctors teaching you. They were either from Canada and they had malpractice lawsuits against them and they wanted to leave the country.
Right.
Another guy, he kidnapped somebody, so he was teaching, you know, physiology. I mean, it was just a bunch of shady characters.
Okay. And I'm not sure what your dilemma is. You're feeling down about the career path, but you're thinking about jumping off a bridge.
Well, no, I'm saying like if it wasn't for like my wife and you know my elderly parents, you know, like support, you know, I'd either be living under a bridge or jumping off one.
Well, will you be able to make the money once this period passes?
I mean, like as time went on, my chances of getting into like residency are really getting smaller. You know, there's like you have to explain gaps and you know.
Right. Hey, well, I guess in a situation like this, again, I have no experience in that. Is it one of those things where if I ask myself, am I doing everything I can do? Is there anything that you're not doing which would help this process? Like if you're real honest with yourself, do you work hard enough? Do you study hard enough, or do you fuck off and then get mad when you don't get the results you want? Sometimes that happens where I don't work hard enough and I'm frustrated that the results don't come easier, but the reality is I didn't do everything I could have or should have done. And again, I don't know what the answer to that is for you, but I mean...
Well, I mean, like, they, like, prescribed, you know, Ritalin and all kinds of shit. They said, oh, this will help you study better and be more you know, but it's like, if you're looking at porn, you're going to be jacking off for 6 hours when that stuff kicks in. Or if you're, like, listening to your show in the morning, you're going to be listening to it for 6 hours straight.
Right. So you feel like there's other stuff that's interfering mentally with you really focusing on this and getting it done?
Well, yeah, you know, like, I have to, like, sit down and study, like, 12 hours a day for a year. And I have to hear shit from, like, in-laws, like, you're a piece of garbage, you're not working, she's working and supporting you. So, you know, as a man, like, I feel like a piece of garbage.
Well, you're not a piece of garbage. If you like, sometimes, like when I was writing, it was hard for me to be home without looking at porn. So I changed it up and I was writing at the Comedy Cellar a lot because it was the right amount of distraction and I couldn't look at porn. So is there a way to switch up part of your schedule which gets you out of that shitty routine you're in? Like if you're in this weird routine where you're kind of spitting down into a drain type of pattern, is there anything you can do differently that will kind of take you somewhere else which might help you focus a little bit more? Sometimes it's something as simple as that. Like it sounds corny, but go to a library or go somewhere else where you're not going to sit there and jack off for a few hours.
Yeah, I see the point. Yeah, I mean, like, I come to you for advice because, like, you had, like, the weight gain thing and you lost it. You know, I put on a shit ton of weight because of all this, like, depression about this stuff, and it's terrible. Like, it's taking a toll.
Yeah, the depression is a bitch. But a lot of times depression, part of it is looking at things so irrationally and not seeing the truth. You know, you're just seeing all the negative stuff people are saying instead of realizing, okay, if I do this for a year, or if I do the right thing and study, I will do well, and then there's a decent amount of money to be made. This is just a part of the process, isn't it? Where you have to study and do all this stuff for 12 hours a day for a year. Isn't that what everybody has to do?
Pretty much. Like, when you're in med school, in American med schools, they do it during the school year. So in the Caribbean, they kind of like let you put it off to the end, and you do it at your own pace, and you never get shit done. But in American med school, you can't go on to year 2 unless you finish, your first boards.
Right. So if you feel like that lacks a bit of schedule and letting you kind of do things the way you wanted to do them fucked you up a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm out of school, so there's no competition or buddies of mine that are studying. So it's not like I'm. You
got to motivate yourself. You got to motivate yourself. There's no one to say, okay, do it. You have to say, I'm an adult and I got to do this. I understand that, dude. Sometimes it helps to have someone pushing us.
Yeah.
But there's no one that motivates me to do stuff either. As an adult, I do stuff because I want nice stuff, or I want to continue my career, or I want to, continue feeling like I'm moving forward. So maybe the motivation for you is, hey, look, I'm stagnating mentally here like a fucko, and I don't want to stagnate mentally. Yeah. I want to move forward. So motivate yourself and move forward. And don't look at the whole 1 year as a thing. Just realize, okay, this is a little step in the right direction. All of these steps will mean something. Sometimes it helps. I got to tell myself that. It's going to mean something. Right now, it's just one little step, and I got to take it, because if I don't take it, I'm never going to get to the second one.
Yeah.
All right, but don't just hang in there, man. Just fucking do it. 99% of life is just showing up. Fucking do what you got to do. Don't think about it. Don't tell yourself why you can't do it. Don't tell yourself you're not motivated. Just fucking act as if you're motivated. Even if you feel like shit, I got to study for 12 hours and I don't want to. Act like you want to and do it.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate your advice. I remember I met you a long time ago. I think you worked at Caldor's, North Brunswick. Right?
Yes, I did many years ago.
And you told me and my roommates, don't steal stuff from the store. So I kind of if I stole stuff, then I definitely wouldn't have gotten into med school. So.
Wow, I don't even remember, but I'm glad you didn't steal stuff. A lesson from Caldor from Jim Norton. Thank you very much for the call, man. I appreciate it. All right.
I appreciate it. I'll check in with you.
All right, pal. Be good. Wow, life lessons from Caldor. I haven't worked there in many, many years. That was one of my North Brunswick, New Jersey jobs. I can still see that sign. Caldor. I worked at Bradley's and Caldor. Those are not the best store names. And Pergament, which I believe went belly up. I'm not sure. Evan in Long Island, as the son of an addict. Your dad doing 12 steps helped. Oh, that's good. Hey, man.
Yeah. How you doing, Jim?
Good. How are you?
Good. Yeah, no, my father's actually been sober for 36 years.
Okay.
And, I just wanted to... I know you're always preaching 12 steps. It's the reason I have a home, I have a family, and we have a successful business now because my father stuck it out.
Oh, good.
Shitty times, and he's been in AA for 36 years now.
Oh, okay. Good for him. Good.
Yeah.
So your message is basically it does work, and the family feels the effects of 12-step work that's done successfully.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something, I always hear you preaching. I hear a lot of guys on, I don't know, it's going to be so hard. It does work, as a child of an addict.
That's good to know, man. And anything works if you put the time into it and you do what people who have done it right suggest. Most things do work. The problem is almost always me. I'm almost always the fucking problem. Like that last guy was saying, the motivation. Half the times I can't motivate myself to do shit, or I feel sorry for myself, or I'm wallowing in self-pity. And the problem is just me. You know what I mean? And I have to own up to that. It's not a pleasant thing to own up to. But thank you for the call, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. And also, Pergament didn't go out of business. They just realized they'd make more money as a landlord and just emptied all their buildings and said, oh, here, we'll just rent this out and we don't have to go to work anymore.
Oh, there you go. And that way they don't have to have any of the they don't have to compete price-wise. They just own the buildings. All right, well, that's smart. So they're still around. They're
still very viable. Actually, I do work for the Pergament family.
Do you? Oh, well, that's kind of good to know, because they employed me, I think, twice. So I kind of have a nice affection for Pergament. That's cool.
Yeah, they're a monstrous family on Long Island.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Evan.
Bye.
All right, buddy. Let's see here. Mike in Massachusetts, you have an adult child. Hey.
Thank you for taking my call. Appreciate it.
Sure, buddy. Hey.
Hey, I got a little issue here, a big issue, actually. My wife, begrudgingly, against my better wishes and judgment, took back my addicted 27-year-old son, who's been in and out of treatment centers, et cetera, et cetera. This has been an ongoing issue for years. He was actually, he comes from that entitlement attitude.
Yep.
He actually lived with my mother, his grandmother, who was his benefactor, who didn't do him any favors by spoiling him rotten.
Sure.
He's got that attitude. When my mother passed away, we automatically took him back into the house. I actually threw him out when he was 18 because he hurt my wife. This is also my wife's child. I've been married for 32 years. I kicked him out most recently this past November for actually making a direct threat against my life. My life the last 4 months have been great, blissful, quiet, no issues.
Sure.
He's been working my wife to move back into the house. He regrets everything, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. It's the same old song and dance. Well, my wife wore me down because I was totally against it, and I actually took out a restraining order to make things legal.
Right.
I had to lift it as of the other day so I wouldn't get in trouble. And I'm beside myself here, Jimmy. I'm almost ready to walk out of 32 years. I've been with my wife for 35 years. I don't want to leave my wife, but at the same time, and don't get me wrong, I love my son. I'll always love my son.
Sure,
I just can't stand the bullshit that he does or has done. And I guess the baggage that he's come back with, and he hasn't done it, he's only been back for a couple of days. To me, it's just a matter of time. So something drops, so something happens, because it's always something. And I kind of told my wife straight out, if something happens this time, I'm gone. I mean, I have really nobody to account to except myself. I mean, I could leave, go to another state, and I don't want to do that, but I feel like my back is against the corner. I just need some type of advice. What should I do?
Yeah, that's a big one, man. I think that if look, I understand. I don't have any kids, but I guess why your wife would be kind of a sucker for your son. I mean, that's just a mom. But at 27, it's not like he's 19. If he's 27, you have every right to not want a fucking 27-year-old who's being irritating to live with you. I don't think there's anything wrong with going, enough of this guy. I love him, but he's acting like a dick. So fucking go straighten your stuff up, and then we can have a relationship. So I think you're totally right, and you have every right to go one fuck up and I'm out, because your wife's already going against what you want by letting him live in your house. Why should anyone live in your house who you don't want living there? You shouldn't have any part, and I mean that like as a person, not as the man of the house, but if you live somewhere and you pay the bills, or you both pay the bills, why should you have to share that with someone who is not behaving the way you want them to? So, look, if she's insisting on him moving back in and he's already there and you've lost that battle, again, easy for me to say, but I think you're right to go, look, one time and I'm gone.
Well, I appreciate that. Again, I'm not ready to flush my marriage down the drain. And this, and again, this isn't something that just happened out of the clear blue. Like I say, most recently, it was 4 months ago. It's been a great 4 months, nice and quiet. He's been in and out of facilities. Again, I love him. I'll always love him. It's just that entitlement attitude. And like I said, I did tell my wife, I said, don't be surprised. If something happens, I'm out. I'm gone. And I don't know. I'm a little lost here, that's all.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's all you can do. And then if something bad happens and you mean it, then you just talk about moving out or whatever, or getting him out, or, maybe you should talk to her. And will she side with you if he does one more thing?
She'll side with me for a little bit, and then, again, legally, and even the judge told me, if something happens again, just come back, we'll get the restraining order, not an issue. I mean, legally I can do that, but, it's like a merry-go-round. I know the same thing will happen again. He'll call my wife, a couple of months will go by, he'll call the wife, and she'll cave, and, I guess I don't want to be barraged anymore. I'm numb from it. Really.
I don't blame you. Yeah. I got to wrap up, Duke, so I only got 2 minutes left, but I appreciate the call. I think you're right. What you're telling me, I think that you are correct, and you have every right to want that. So I would say, maybe if he fucks up one more time and you got to go, or tell her it's him or me, then I think that's fair.
Thanks, Jimmy. You're the best, man. Appreciate you taking my call.
All right, Mike. Good luck, buddy. And Saga in Massachusetts. What's up, Saga?
Wanted to tell you what I love about Chip. Chip told this story one time about a birthday party, and he set out the napkins and waited all day, and like his guests never showed up, and it was unclear whether his mom had actually planned the party and the guests did the show, or whether she never did and just was kind of human into thinking she had planned a party for him.
What? I mean, I honestly have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, I don't know. It was just some little tip story told years ago.
Oh, you're not talking. Are you talking about? Do you like a pair of tits?
No, I'm talking about Chip Tipperson.
Do you say chip or tits?
I said Chip.
Oh, because that's what. Okay, it says here. Wanted to say what I love about tits.
Oh.
So I'm like when you're saying because it sounded like a Chip story, and I'm like that sounds familiar. But what the fuck? And then I'm like, is she insulting Opie? Like, I'd like, you know.
Oh, my gosh, no.
That's why I was like, you really lost me. I didn't know what you meant. Oh, okay. Chip. All right. It was just a misprint. Is what I love about tits. I got my hopes up.
I'll talk back about tits some other time.
Okay. Yeah. When Chip was laying the story about his mother. Yeah. Yeah. That was kind of miserable how no one showed up. And he was like, Ma, they gonna come or something? And she was like, oh, Chip, I'll just go sit in there and wait. Yeah. That was a good one.
And the sun went down. I think the end of the story was the sun going down with no guests. Anyway, I think that as an animation would be awesome. That like vulnerability that he has.
Maybe I can try an episode like that. I had a good Christmas episode I was working on too. A Chipper Christmas with, when he was a kid and going to find Santa, but the mother was in the bedroom with Lamar, so Chip had to hitchhike. Yeah. So, I will work on some more ideas. Thank you very much. I misunderstood.
No problem. Take care.
All right. I got to wrap. Frank, real quick. I have to wrap up, but you're saying you think you're suicidal? This is the last call I can take. What's up, buddy?
I'm real nervous even just talking to you about this. It's kind of weird to be bringing this up.
All right.
I feel everything's great in my life. Wife, kid, house, job, whatever. But I get these weird thoughts, like, out of the blue, like, I should just do this, just off myself. Whether I'm driving or, I'm a gun owner, like, I could just do this real quick, no problem. And I don't know why I get these. And are
you bored with life? Like, do you feel like you need something to shake things up, and that's just some kind of an emotional explosion?
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I used to have kind of a crazy, hectic life, and I don't know. I guess, yeah, maybe I am bored sometimes.
Well, or maybe it's a quick, easy way out when things are frustrating or whatever. But, obviously you're already thinking it through rationally. You don't want to do that. It's going to hurt too many people. There's too many people around you who that would fuck up, and it's just too selfish. And there's no reason to do that.
Right, and that's why I tell myself that every single time, and that gets me out of it. And I'm worried that maybe one day I'm just going to catch myself in a shitty mood and just say, fuck it.
Maybe, but you know what, dude? I've had that thought many times, and I haven't caught myself in that shitty mood because there's always that thing that thinks of the consequences or the people that would be fucked up by it. So, as long as you realize how irrational and crazy that thought is, but then maybe you want to figure out why you keep having it. Like what it's doing for you. Is it just a way to fantasize about a finality, or is it a way to shake things up mentally? Sometimes it helps to figure out what that thought's doing for you. I got to wrap up, dude. I'm actually over time, but I'm glad that you at least are looking at it rationally. That that's not a solution to anything.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll call back next week if you want, Frank. We'll talk a little longer if you want to call next week. I'm sorry to cut you off, buddy. I don't want to do that.
All right.
All right, don't do anything stupid. I'm sorry to all the people who I was not able to get to. I just wanted to make sure Frank wasn't on a ledge. And I will see you guys next week.
Thanks for listening to The Jim Norton Show. Hear all that advice whenever you want to on demand at SiriusXM.com/on-demand. On SiriusXM is real.